Good afternoon, South Mississippi. Meteorologist Taylor Graham here, diving into the forecast this week, what we can expect the rest of today, tonight, and like I just said, the rest of the week. And we're also going to take a look at what's going on in the tropics far away from us, thank goodness. We do have a tropical storm, Ernesto, that is moving into the Caribbean. I'm going to give a little bit of a spoiler. Doesn't look like it's going to be a threat for us, but there is a chance it could become our next hurricane of the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. Here locally, though, as you probably know, it is extremely hot. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at that forecast for the rest of today. Don't get caught off guard if you hear a few rumbles of thunder, and I'll show you in a few moments. We do have a couple of showers and thunderstorms that have popped up. Most of us are going to stay rain-free today, but there is a chance for a little relief from the heat later this afternoon. Overall, though, we're only keeping rain chances at about 20 to 30% today, and once we lose the daytime heating after the sunset, well, that's when our rain chances will be getting lower. So as of right now, it's hot, it's humid, 94 at the airport in Gulfport. We have a heat index at 105. Many spots have been seeing the heat index well above 100, and we are under a heat advisory at least until about 6 or 7 o'clock this evening. Temperatures right now, mid-upper 90s. We did hit 100 yesterday in Pascagoula and Moss Point. We may be making a run for that again. 98 currently as of about 1:30, 98 up into Poplarville. We're seeing those mid-90s up into Wiggins and Perkinston. No matter where you are, it is hot, it's humid. We have the heat index right around 110 in Pascagoula, 114 right now in Gaucher. Elsewhere, we're seeing the heat index at about 105 up to 110. And while they haven't officially issued a heat advisory for tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised one bit if we're going to be under another heat advisory on Wednesday. Of course, heat advisory in effect today, and we are not the only ones. A lot of the southeast is under a heat advisory, mainly Louisiana, Arkansas, East Texas, and we even can see some of those excessive heat warnings to our north and west into parts of Oklahoma with that area shaded in pink. So again, we are not the only ones dealing with the brutal heat and humidity today, and the reason why it's been so hot, it's this ridge of high pressure. We've been talking about this for quite some time, but once again, this ridge of high pressure has been building in over parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, and even for us in South Mississippi, we are on the edge of that ridge, still feeling the heat. Why is it that these big ridges of high pressure cause so much heat in the summer? Well, anytime we have an area of high pressure in the upper levels, that causes sinking air. As that air falls towards the surface, it is compressed. What happens is these air molecules get bunched together, they bump into each other, and the temperature rises. These areas of high pressure also don't move around too much. So day in and day out, the heat will continue to build under these ridges of high pressure. And sometimes we refer to these as heat domes in the summer. The opposite is true with areas of low pressure in the upper levels of the atmosphere. With an area of low pressure, we're getting rising air, and areas that are under a trough today are a little bit cooler. Those are areas to our north and east, parts of the Midwest and the Ohio Valley seeing some slightly cooler air. What happens is when the air rises, it expands, the air molecules are farther apart, and the temperature drops. In addition to temperature, areas of high pressure in the upper levels generally mean less rainfall. We get that sinking air that prevents the rising air needed for showers and thunderstorms. Of course, with an area of low pressure, we have more of that rising air, and so typically those do bring more showers and thunderstorms. But with this ridge of high pressure in place, our rain chances are looking slim, not zero though. It still looks like we've had enough energy and enough of that rising air over us to get a few of those showers and thunderstorms, and we can see a couple of those trying to move into Stone County and also a couple of showers in George County. By no means is everyone going to see the rain today, but those of us that do will be able to cool down just a little bit. And I know I've been talking to some people that really need more rain in their yards, so there is a little bit of hope. Maybe don't get your hopes up too high, but it looks like we'll at least keep a chance for rain today and also tomorrow. Now, once we get past the sunset, we lose the daytime heating. we're not going to be seeing as much rain. Temperatures waking up tomorrow morning mainly going to be in the mid to upper 70s. By tomorrow afternoon, we're going to be right back into the mid to upper 90s. Like I said, wouldn't be surprised one bit if we're going to be under another heat advisory because the humidity is going to stay very high. And just like today, tomorrow brings a chance for hit or miss showers and storms. Not everyone guaranteed to see that rain. We may be able to get a little more rain by Thursday and Friday. Doesn't look like a total washout, but our rain chances are going to be just a little bit higher by the end of the week. I wish I could say that we're going to see a drop in the humidity. I think something's going wrong there with our graphic. We are not going to be seeing that big of a drop as we head into the end of the weekend. I expect the humidity to stay pretty high over the next several days with dew points in the mid to upper 70s. Rain chances go up a little bit by Thursday and Friday. Even this weekend, we could see a few more of those hit or miss showers and storms, but not one particular day looks to be a washout. These are going to be some of those typical summertime storms where down the street they may get a lot of rain, and at your house you may not get much at all. One thing I can guarantee though is the heat. Day in and day out this week, it is going to be hot, but with rain chances a little higher on Friday, we may be only warming up into the mid 90s rather than the upper 90s. I'd say we'll take anything that we can get. Average high for this time of the year, at least on the coast, is right around 91. At least in the tropics, not really looking at too many concerns for the Gulf Coast, but we do have Tropical Storm Ernesto out there that has moved into the Caribbean. It's close to some of the U.S. Virgin Islands, and it is getting closer to Puerto Rico. As of the 1 o'clock update, it is strengthening. Now we're seeing winds of 60 miles per hour, and it's moving pretty quickly for a tropical system at about 18 miles per hour to the west and northwest. The pressure likely is going to be dropping with the system as it starts to make that journey back into the Atlantic. We are noticing too that Puerto Rico almost right in the path of this system. So tropical storm warnings have been issued for parts of Puerto Rico along with some of the Lesser Antilles. Thankfully, it looks like Ernesto, as it moves past Puerto Rico, is going to be heading out to sea. The catch, though, is that Bermuda really needs to watch this. Even though it looks like it's going out to sea, Bermuda is such a small island, it's hard to tell on this map. But as Ernesto curves out to sea, it may be approaching Bermuda as a Category 2 hurricane. Now, there is some uncertainty with the forecast cone at that time, but if anyone's going to be impacted, it could be Bermuda. And I really wouldn't be surprised if Ernesto tries to make a run for major or Cat 3 status by Friday, Saturday, maybe even into Sunday. We'll see if it maintains its strength at that point. But overall, conditions are looking pretty favorable for it to strengthen quite a bit by Thursday and Friday. Now, clearly, as you can tell from this forecast from the National Hurricane Center, Ernesto not a threat to the Gulf Coast, nor is it really going to be a threat to the U.S. mainland. There could be some higher rip currents along the East Coast. I wouldn't be surprised at that. But otherwise, no direct impacts expected. So thankfully, this one we can rest easy here along the Gulf Coast. But as we keep saying, hurricane season is far from over. So even though Ernesto is not going to be our problem, we are entering the peak of hurricane season. In fact, roughly about 85% of tropical systems typically form after August 15th. So as we head into the end of August and especially into September, really going to be having to watch out for the Atlantic and the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico for tropical development. And as we know, sometimes we can even see some of those develop into October as well. So we still have a ways to go, but thankfully for at least the next 5 to 7 days, we're not really expecting any tropical trouble in the Gulf of Mexico. Of course, we will let you know if anything changes, but for now, it's just a lot of heat in our 7-day forecast. Not a ton of rain to go along with that. Could see a few hit or miss showers and storms today, tomorrow, into Thursday and Friday, but the heat really going to be the biggest issue over the next several days with highs at least in the upper 90s. Of course, the high humidity never seems to help us out. It's going to be feeling a lot hotter, and with that high humidity, we're still not cooling down much at night with lows in the mid to upper 70s. I literally just got my AC bill or my electricity bill today. it was very high. So of course our ACs are working very, very hard, not only this month, but probably as we head into September, we typically see the heat continue, at least for the first part of the month. So with that, I hope your AC is working well. We are definitely going to need it over the next several days. Rain chances are a little bit higher than what we had last week, so there is some hope for maybe a little bit of relief from the intense heat. Don't get your hopes up too high though, but there is a bit more hope of seeing a little bit more of that wet weather. So with that, we are going to end it here with our forecast. We will have the very latest on Tropical Storm Ernesto coming up at 4 o'clock if you're more curious about that system. And of course, we'll have the latest updated forecast for you coming up at 4 o'clock on WLOX.